A once badass special service commando decided to fake his own death for a shot at a peaceful existence. But what would you do? We'll be breaking down Robert's call of adventure to save a damsel in distress in The Equalizer. Booyah! In Boston, we meet our hero Robert McCall, a hard-working dude slinging tools at the one and only Home Mart. This guy is about as average as it gets, just your run-of-the-mill man living the most vanilla life ever captured on the big screen. But hey, everyone's gotta start somewhere, right? Cue the movie montage of Robert casually organizing nuts and bolts, looking like the epitome of ordinary. On his job, Ralphie, a chubby co-worker who is preparing to take the security officer's recruitment exam, is on a diet, and Robert befriends him. He also encouraged Ralphie to consume more fiber-rich foods rather than ones heavy in carbohydrates. Robert is very organized, meticulous, and disciplined in how he goes about doing everything. He has a habit of timing his tasks by counting the seconds on his watch. At the eatery he frequented, Robert usually took his time to read a book in the late hours. Robert always carried his own tea bags and utensils. Robert always makes sure that the surface is clean and that the silverware is in the right place, which is a clear indication of his habit of keeping things organized as he sets his napkins and cutlery on the table. That evening, there weren't as many people dining there, but one of them, a stunning woman named Alina, greeted Robert and inquired about the plot of the book he was reading. She quickly bid Robert farewell and left the area before boarding a taxi. The following day, Robert resumed his regular routine. He headed to his job at Home Mart, talked about Ralphie and the other employees, then went on to clean up and eat supper. That evening, Robert went back to his favorite cafe and read a book. Alina was spotted entering the diner shortly after Robert got there while wearing a scant clothing and lots of makeup. Just as Alina was ready to place her drink order, her cell phone rang. It was her employer. Alina comes out to be a young prostitute serving for the Russian mobster Salvi behind the alias Terry. Alina was picked up outside of the diner that evening and had to serve a client. Alina tries to avoid her job over the phone and convinces Salvi that the customer doesn't need to be served. However, it turns out that the man frequently mistreats Alina. Salvi, however, paid no attention to this and told Alina to get to the work right away. Then Salvi threatens to assassinate Alina and warns her of the debt the young woman owes him. As the menacing words reached Alina's ears, she found herself bound by Salvi's commands, leaving her no choice but to obey. Robert's eyes darted with suspicion as he witnessed Alina's departure from the restaurant, her footsteps guided by an unknown force. Anticipation hung in the air as Alina emerged in the dimly lit streets, her destination a mysterious figure awaiting her outside the cafe. The plot thickens, leaving us on the edge of our seats wondering what secrets lie ahead. So we learned that Robert seems like a normal guy, but he's definitely not. This is a story how he'll act towards injustice in front of him. There are a bunch of good ways that this plot can lead to, so this is a great start. But anyways, it's realistic to imply that many people don't want to meddle in issues that they don't know entirely, and probably Robert would be the same, as he is ordinary. But still, if I am to rebuild Robert's character to make the story more intriguing, I would change the social issue involved in politics and corporations instead of prostitution and slavery. In this case, Robert delves deeper into the mystery of wealthy men with dark secrets. He discovers a web of deceit that spans across continents. With the help of an international network of allies, including skilled operatives from various countries, Robert sets out on a globe-trotting adventure to dismantle the conspiracy and bring the true culprits to justice. It can also be the case where instead of Salvi capturing Alina, he goes straight after Robert unknowingly. The tables are turned, and it's Robert McCall who becomes the target of a highly intelligent and ruthless young prodigy, Salvi. Salvi could be driven by a personal vendetta, utilizes his unparalleled intellect and technological prowess to systematically dismantle Robert's life, exposing his vulnerabilities and pushing him to the brink. That way, the storyline would have been more unpredictable. Though of course, we can't say yet that it's predictable right off the start, but it contains a familiar vigilante formula where the protagonist seeks revenge against the bad guys. The lack of surprises or unique twists diminish the impact of the narrative, but I might be wrong, so let's just see how this goes. The following day, Robert accompanied Ralphie as he performed weight loss exercises in preparation for the security officer examination. Robert continued to encourage Ralphie and assist him with everything he had so that Ralphie could achieve his goal of becoming a security officer. Despite the fact that Ralphie appeared to be struggling and was on the verge of giving up due to the intense training. In a nutshell, Robert got back to his regular groove, hitting up his go-to spot for some grub and settling down with his favorite pastime, getting lost in books. Little did he know, Alina was already holding court in the joint. Playing it smooth, Alina sauntered up to Robert, asking for a permission slip to claim her throne at the back of her chosen table. Robert, being the gentleman he is, gave her the green light and invited her to join him. As they chatted away, Robert couldn't help but notice some unsightly decorations on Alina's pretty face. Bruises. Yikes. Turns out Alina spilled the beans and spilled her dreams too. Despite her aspiring singer dreams, she was caught in Salvy's clutches, forcing her to perform against her will, all because of some nasty debt. Talk about a serious off-key situation. Alina then presented Robert with a CD having a record of her singing her composed song. Robert was happy about getting the gift and assured the girl that he would pay attention. As the conversation between Robert and Alina grew more captivating during their stroll home, little did they know that danger was lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a menacing vehicle screeched out to a halt right in front of them. Shattering the tranquility of the night, out emerged a figure, none other than the dreaded Salvy himself. Without wasting a moment, he made a beeline for Alina, his intentions crystal clear. In a shocking turn of events, Salvy unleashed a brutal blow on Alina, instantly immobilizing her. The air crackled with tension as Salvy, fueled by his patron's dissatisfaction, seized Alina and held her captive, demanding retribution. The atmosphere was charged with fear and desperation, as Robert realized he had stumbled into a situation far more treacherous than he could ever have imagined. Robert's instinct screamed at him to intervene as he witnessed a harrowing scene unfold before his eyes. However, Salvy, the puppet master of this nightmare, shot a chilling warning his way, ordering him not to dare interfere. In a twisted display of power, Salvy reached into the depths of his malevolence and handed Robert his business card, an eerie token of his influence. With a sickening smirk, Salvy callously suggested that if Robert ever desired the services of a comfort woman, he should give him a ring. A wave of disgust washed over Robert as Salvy callously tore Alina away from the vicinity, leaving behind an unsettling silence tainted by the stench of corruption and exploitation. The forces of darkness seemed to tighten their grip, pushing Robert to a realm of moral dilemma and an urgent quest for justice. After that night, he no longer sees Alina. A heavy scene right after the introduction. Now the conflict is finally presented. So Robert is contemplating whether or not to help Alina, whom he developed a fondness for. I think it would have been better if Robert just punched Salvy right at the moment. I mean, even subtly, Alina was giving him signs that she needs help. She even initiated a conversation and told him about herself. It's not a matter of meddling with strangers anymore. If I were to rewrite that scene, the plot would be tweaked like this. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, Robert instinctively lunges at Salvy the instant he lays hands on Alina. A fierce struggle ensues, filling the air with the sounds of grunts and shattering glass. Robert's years of hitting combat skills and resourcefulness comes to the fore as he unleashes a flurry of relentless strikes. Catching Salvy off guard, the balance of power momentarily shifts, giving Alina a chance to escape. Then as the fight escalates, Robert showcases his unmatched prowess, skillfully taking down each assailant that dares to challenge him. Meanwhile, Alina, fueled by a newfound determination, bravely joins the fray, delivering swift kicks and strikes against Salvy's minions. In the midst of the relentless battle, Robert manages to temporarily overpower Salvy, giving him a chance to protect Alina and escape to safety. Would have been a 10 out of 10, right? I'm sure they had a reason for Robert to contemplate, but it's a little out of character. Robert should be like an AI-minded, emotionless, and perfectionist person that punches anyone that makes errors. But I guess he lagged in that moment, so let's give him a chance to reclaim himself, shall we? After days of losing contact, a staff member at the diner informed Robert that Alina had been abused and was receiving medical care at the hospital. Knowing this, Robert proceeded to the hospital where he discovered Alina lying powerless with a bruised face. Mandy, Alina's co-worker, informs Robert that Alina was assaulted by Salvy for frequently resisting and defying Salvi's directives. Robert felt remorse after observing Alina's deplorable condition and suffering as a result of the frequent harsh treatment she received from customers and her pimp. He resolved to assist Alina in escaping the challenges and contemplated circumstances she faced. In a dramatic turn of events, Salvi strides into his opulent restaurant, exuding an air of authority and malevolence. As he steps into his den of power, his henchmen await his arrival, ready to deliver the ill-gotten gains owed to their merciless boss. Unbeknownst to them, the tides of fate are about to shift. I'm sure Robert was like. In a bold move, Robert bursts into Salvi's stronghold, disrupting the aura of dominance that hangs heavy in the air. Without hesitation, he confronts Salvi, offering a substantial sum of money in exchange for Alina's release from her oppressive debt. The tension crackles as the proposition hangs in the balance. But Salvi, fueled by his insatiable greed, swiftly dismisses the offer, rejecting the chance for a quick payout. He sneers, knowing that he can squeeze even more profit from Alina's talents if he keeps her under his control. Undeterred, Robert coolly returns the rejected money, a symbolic gesture of defiance, and exits the scene, leaving Salvi to ponder the consequences of his decision. After approaching the door to Salvi's office, Robert did not promptly exit. Instead of unlocking the door, the man shut it and faced Salvi and his underlings. Robert observed the people and objects in the room for a moment before estimating that it would require him only 16 seconds to murder everyone. Robert overthrew Salvi and all of his henchmen and beat them with an emotionless visage. Salvi pleaded with Robert to spare his life, but it was already too late, as Salvi had previously rejected Robert's offer. Nice. I mean, that's pretty nice. That's a powerful turn of point with a satisfying retribution. Robert reclaimed his title indeed. Robert's remorse is palpable as he witnesses the devastating consequences of Alina's circumstances. The news of Alina's abuse and hospitalization compels him to rush to her side. Everyone will be enraged to arrive at the hospital with the sight of Alina lying helpless and bruised. Robert's pivotal decision to settle things against Salvi once and for all is a chef's kiss. Mwah! Satisfying to watch. You see, this is what I'm talking about. He justified the character. But anyways, let's say that in another universe, Salvi and Robert meet in a neutral setting to discuss Alina's future when they reach an agreement that the debt will be fully repaid through a combination of Alina's salary and Robert's financial assistance. Because come on, Alina has the right to be freed from this slavery. Setting aside the fact that this movie portrays the undying issue of prostitution, there should at least be a character development with Salvi. But since he didn't have any, he deserved his tragic fate. I say, however, that Robert would still be in character if instead of being a gentleman, asking if they can settle it through money first, he should have just warned them about it. If Salvi laughs off at him, that would be a cue for him to start pummeling him down. Either way, it's nicely done and on point with his characterization. I just hope that Robert really helped Alina get away at the first confrontation so that she wouldn't have to be hospitalized. Robert waited for the worst case scenario before acting. After that, Robert returned home and resumed his regular routine. Robert had seen on TV that Salvi and his goons had been killed, and that the authorities had attributed the killings to an ongoing dispute between rival gangs. Next, we see Teddy Renson, a man who had recently arrived in America and made his way straight to the scene of Salvi's murder. Vladimir Pushkin, Salvi's boss, sends Teddy on an errand to look into Salvi's murder and track down the perpetrator. Teddy, a former officer of the Russian secret police who had received special force training, had little trouble concluding that whoever murdered Salvi and his accomplices was not a random individual, but rather someone who had been trained to fight and kill. Meanwhile, Robert can't believe Ralphie has resigned. Robert stopped by Ralphie's house and saw that the man was helping his mother clean up after a fire at the store she owned was started on purpose by dishonest police officers who were angry that she had refused to pay the security fee. As a result, Ralphie wanted to devote more time to assisting his mom at the shop rather than working for Hallmark. When Robert got wind of Ralphie's stealthy pursuit of some sneaky cops, he knew he had to jump in and save the day. Under the cover of darkness, he planned to come to Ralphie's rescue. You see, these crafty officers had been slyly pocketing security allowances from innocent local business owners, but Robert wasn't about to let them get away with their shenanigans. Armed with his trusty camera, Robert caught those corrupt cops red-handed, capturing their misdeeds on film. With the evidence in his possession, he fearlessly confronted the crooked officers, making it crystal clear that they were in deep trouble. He vowed to unleash the viral clip for the world to see if they didn't immediately cease their wicked ways. It was a showdown between truth and deceit, and Robert was the hero ready to expose the villains. With determination in his eyes and justice on his side, he set out on a mission to right the wrongs and bring these shady officers to their knees. Even though the crooked police had fought back, Robert had emerged victorious. After Robert beat them senseless, the dishonest policemen returned the stolen property to the community and stopped stealing from them. After Ralphie's mother acquired venture financing to reopen her shop, Ralphie was able to return to his job as a security guard trainee at Hallmark and finally achieve his goal. Oi, so Alina and Salvi wasn't the main show. Turns out there are other people that need a punch of hell as well. Teddy Renson and Vladimir Bushkin, for instance, are bigger figures that Robert needs to watch out for. It's a good call and it lengthens the storyline, but some tweaks that I would have added is this. Teddy Renson, instead of being Vladimir's puppet, should have been a spy and an accomplice of Robert. Like, when Robert learned that it's not just Salvi working on his illegal industry, he vowed to defeat them all through the route, which is Vladimir. Robert could have called Teddy and asked him for help, and his friend gladly obliged. That way, the storyline would be cooler, sort of like a superhero sidekick movie. Another thing is with Ralphie. It might be better for him if he continues his training to be a security officer and resigns to reach his dreams instead of being a victim of crooked policemen. That must have shattered his dreams. I just think this movie would evoke more positivity when Robert sees that all the people he helps become stronger in a way. It could have been more captivating that way. When his initial investigation with Alina doesn't yield leads, Teddy turns to Salvi's underling prostitutes for information. It's a high-stakes game as Teddy pushes boundaries to get the answers he needs. Either go hard or go home. The twisted events change as Teddy decides to play puppet master, pulling the strings of a dramatic confrontation. With a mischievous glint in his eye, he boldly approaches Mandy, urging her to spill all the juicy details to Salvi about Alina and her rebellion. Oh, the secrets and scandals that will unfold. Feeling the weight of impending doom, Mandy reluctantly divulges information to Teddy about a mysterious visitor, a black man, who had paid a visit to Alina while she was in the hospital. Little did Mandy know this revelation would seal her fate. In a shocking twist that will make your jaw drop, Teddy, driven by a dark and sinister agenda, decides to silence Mandy forever. The stakes have never been higher, and Teddy ruthlessly snuffs out the life of his own trusted confidant. But Mandy's untimely demise doesn't go unnoticed. Acting on her tip, Teddy delves into the depths of the hospital surveillance tapes and the chilling crime scene where Salvi met his tragic end. In the dimly lit footage, a shadowy figure emerges, none other than Robert himself. Robert's co-worker and cashier at Hallmark is the target of an attempted robbery one day, and once again, Robert must act quickly to render the assailant unconscious. Robert decides to give the thief everything he asked for, including the cashier's gold ring, because there were lots of families in the museum at the time. While Robert let the man off the hook, he did not forget the car's registration plate. To make it short, the next day the robbed cashier returned to find her ring in the register, and Robert was spotted wiping off the large hammer he used to incapacitate the thief and retrieve the ring the night before. This guy thinks he's got the upper hand here. The character-like-minded deviousness of Teddy, charming those may imply, takes center stage as he weaves a web of secrets and deceit. Teddy, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, sidles up to Mandy, practically begging her to spill the beans to Salvi about Alina and her daring rebellion. It's like watching a high-stakes poker game, with Teddy pushing Mandy to reveal the juiciest secrets in town. But wait, there's more. Mandy spills the tea to Teddy about a mysterious visitor, a black man, who made a covert appearance at Alina's hospital bedside. Talk about adding fuel to the fire. Robert is a force to be reckoned with, a superhero who knows when to strike and when to show compassion. But here's where things get interesting. In a selfless act, Robert decides to give the thief what he wants, including the cashier's precious gold ring. Why, you ask? Well, the museum where this all unfolds is bustling with families, and our hero knows that their safety comes first. He even captures the car's registration plate. A detective in disguise Nobel Prize coming right up. Unexpectedly, Teddy visits Robert at his place that night, claiming to be a police officer looking into the death of Salvi. After that, Teddy inquires as to the location of Robert, who was at an upscale eatery on the night of Salvi's murder. Robert, prepared for this scenario, answered Teddy's questions without raising any red flags but remaining cool throughout. Nonchalant, you gotta give this guy credit. Teddy asked Robert a question and then abruptly left. But Robert and Teddy both knew they had falsified information. As Teddy is obviously not a cop, Robert is quick to assume responsibility for Salvi's death. Robert promptly makes preparations to escape his flat after learning that the Russian mob is now after him. Shortly, Teddy sends one of his men after Robert in the diner, where Robert easily dispatches his attacker. The two part ways, with Robert leaving the diner and finding Teddy in his car while he snaps a photo of him with his phone. After giving chase, Teddy and his men arrived at Robert's flat, only to discover that he had fled from the scene. Teddy looks through Robert's apartment for a hint about who he is, but comes up empty. All he discovers are narcotics and broken sports tickets. But Robert isn't there. He's actually monitoring Teddy and his goons from afar via a secret camera in his flat. It's brilliant! Robert goes to see his old friend and co-worker at the Defense Intelligence Agency, Susan Palmer, who utilizes her connections to provide him with information on Vladimir Pushkin and his activities, understanding that he is working with one of the biggest Russian criminal groups in the world. Impressive is an understatement as to how Robert and Teddy knew each other's motive through their instincts alone. It's like they're on the same level. I wonder who toppled the other in a full-on battle. Let's say Robert is greater on strategy and Teddy is on experience, though I can't help but think that instead of applying to kill Robert, Teddy could have become the best ally to partner up with. But never mind, Susan, being the savvy operator that she is, pulls some strings and digs deep into her intel network. Lo and behold, she uncovers the shocking truth about Vladimir Pushkin, a big shot in the world of Russian criminal groups. This guy makes the bad guys from spy movies look like kindergarten troublemakers. With their forces combined, Robert and Susan became an unstoppable duo, ready to take on the shadowy underworld and thwart Pushkin's wicked plans. It's like a buddy cop movie, but with a twist of espionage and humor that'll leave you shitting your seat. So grab your popcorn, folks, because this thrilling tale of quick thinking and secret heroism will keep you entertained until the very last frame. Susan also informs Robert that Teddy Renson's real name is Nikolai Ichenkov. After giving all the information that Robert wanted, Susan told her husband that Robert didn't ask for help, but he asked for permission to destroy Pushkin's operations in the United States. Robert first goes to Pushkin's cash vault, where Robert can easily incapacitate all of Pushkin's men, lock them all in the refrigerator, and then call the police and leave evidence in the form of a memory stick that is loaded with information about Pushkin's illegal activities. In the evening, Teddy is seen having dinner at a fancy restaurant. In front of him appears a man who turns out to be a trained assassin who was hired by Teddy to kill Robert. However, shortly after the man left Teddy's table, Robert then entered the restaurant and approached Teddy. Robert then sat there, handing Teddy the hitman's cracked and bloody glasses. Robert then reveals that he already knows about Teddy's past and warns Teddy to stop pursuing him, and pledging to bring down Pushkin's criminal enterprise. Later, Robert destroys oil tankers belonging to Pushkin and ultimately destroys Pushkin's entire business in the United States. After that, Teddy immediately set up a plan to immobilize Robert. Teddy and his henchmen go to the Walmart store and take several of Robert's co-workers as hostages. After that, Teddy called Robert and threatened to kill Robert's co-workers if he didn't come to the Walmart store sooner. Apparently, Robert had expected this, where he managed to sneak into the control room and tune in the loudspeaker to distract Teddy and his henchmen. After knocking down some of Teddy's men, Robert then frees Ralphie and asks him to help their co-workers escape through the back door. After making sure Ralphie and all his co-workers were in a safe place, Robert then turned off the main lighting in the Walmart store, leaving only the dim spotlights. Robert immediately kills Teddy's men one by one using the tools there, and eventually confronts Teddy and kills him with a nail gun. 3 days later, Robert travels to Moscow and kills all of Pushkin's guards at his mansion. Robert tricks Pushkin into electrocuting himself to death. With the death of Vladimir Pushkin, it is certain that all of his illegal operations have been terminated. After Robert returned to the United States, Alina, who had recovered from her injuries, approached him outside the grocery store. Alina reveals that she had started a new and better life after being freed from Salvi. Alina also thanked Robert for giving her a second chance and kissed him lightly on the cheek. After what happened to Alina and her co-workers, Robert was inspired to continue to use his skills to help others in need. In the evening, as usual, Robert always visited his regular diner. He not only whipped out a book, but a laptop, where Robert then posted an online advertisement, now identifying himself as the Equalizer. Listen folks, this movie is like a cosmic reminder that we're the authors of our own wacky stories. Yeah, sure, even when we stumbled in the past or had some epic falls, it's all about the choices we make right now and how we treat our fellow human beings. But if you were Robert, what would you do? Leave your comments down below. Booyah!